Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really fascinating look into the world of Patrick Hsu.
Yeah, I mean, just 31 years old, but already his experience spans academic science, biotech, and nonprofit research, too. Pretty impressive.
Totally. We're talking about someone who got his PhD from Harvard at 21.
It's wild. And then he was right there at the Broad Institute with CRISPR development, co-founded Editas Medicine.
And now he's leading ARC Institute, this nonprofit research place focusing heavily on AI and biology. They've got serious backing, too, like $650 million.
So yeah, our mission today is to really unpack his thinking from a recent interview. We want to pull out the key stuff, his views on AI and biology merging, U.S. science funding, gene editing, biotech investing, all of it.
Exactly. Get the core insights. And it's probably helpful to know right up front, ARC Institute, his current focus is really deep into AI biology.
Well, like their EVO2 model, that's a big deal.
It is. It's not just, another ChatGPT. It's a foundation model trained specifically on millions of genomes. So it understands biology in a way text-based AIs just can't.
Okay, so let's dive into that AI and biology convergence. The interview brought up Demis Hassabis's pretty bold prediction, AI curing all diseases in maybe a decade.
Yeah, big claim. And Hassabis' reaction was interesting. He's excited about AI, for sure, but maybe a bit skeptical about that timeline.
Well, yeah. He brought up the practical stuff, right? Like clinical trials still need to happen. Regulatory bodies, FDA, they have processes.
And biology itself just takes time. Cells grow, processes unfold. AI can speed up discovery, definitely, but it can't, magically skip the real-world biological steps.
It's a grounded take. But his bigger picture view of AI is fascinating, too. He called it a future universal co-pilot.
Yeah, like it'll just weave into everything we do. So seamlessly, we won't even think of it as AI anymore. Just part of life, an intuitive tool.
Okay, that makes sense. But then he had this, the interviewer called it a contrarian take on where AI talent should be focused right now.
Oh, right. His argument was basically, look, we have maybe, fewer than 5,000 people truly pushing the frontier of AI development globally.
A tiny number, really.
And his point was, shouldn't we be trying harder to get more of those specific people working on massive problems like human health and disease instead of, say, optimizing chatbots?
It's a provocative thought. Where's the highest leverage for that rare talent?
Exactly. And speaking of top AI talent getting interested in biology, it was pretty telling that Greg Brockman, OpenAI's president, actually contributed to ARC's EVO2 paper.
Yeah, apparently during his sabbatical, Hugh mentioned Brockman was looking for a different kind of intellectual challenge. Training a huge biological model is definitely different.
It signals a real shift. Maybe. Top AI labs seeing biology as this huge next frontier.
It seems like it. And this connects a bit to that idea from Dario Amodi's essay, Machines of Loving Grace, about using GPUs to parallelize scientific reasoning.
Ah, yeah. Speed up discovery by running tons of reasoning processes at once. How did Hsu see that applying to biology?
Well, he liked the concept, especially for things that are purely information-based.
Yeah.
But he put the brakes on a bit when it comes to biology's physical nature. Meaning you can't just parallelize wet lab experiments infinitely like you can with code. Atoms bumping into each other, cells growing. That happens in real time, in the real world. You hit physical limits.
Right. Okay. You can't just spin up a million simultaneous test tubes instantly, which I guess leads into ARC's work on virtual cell models. Is that their workaround?
That seems to be the idea. If you can build incredibly accurate predictive simulations of cells, virtual cells, then you can run countless experiments digitally.
Ah, okay. Test hypotheses, screen drug candidates, that kind of thing. Much faster in the simulation before you even touch a pipette.
Exactly. Accelerate discovery that way.
So the million-dollar question then, when do we actually see major breakthroughs coming from AI and science?
Who seems to think it's already happening? Incrementally. He pointed to advances in, like DNA modeling, really understanding the genome, and also protein design.
Not just predicting protein shapes, but designing new ones.
Yeah, designing novel proteins with specific functions, moving beyond prediction to creation. And he stressed AI's impact isn't just biology, it's accelerating things across many scientific fields.
Okay, but then he made a really, really bold prediction about AI design.
Oh yeah, that was striking. He suggested we might see AI-designed single-celled organisms, maybe even by 2026.
Wow. 2026? What's stopping us from designing, say, a whole complex animal then?
The bottleneck, he said, is DNA synthesis, actually building the incredibly long, complex DNA sequences needed for multicellular life. Our ability to write DNA just isn't there yet for that scale.
Got it. AI can design it, but we can't physically build it yet. Still, AI designs single cells by 2026. That's something to wrap your head around. Okay, let's shift gears a bit to maybe a trickier topic. The state of U.S. science and health agencies. The interviewer brought up things like the Harvard fight, RFK Jr. at HHS, potential NIH cuts. Hsu's reaction was just 3 words.
Yeah, more basic science.
Punchy. What was the thinking behind that?
Well, he framed science itself as ideally bipartisan. It's not about finding absolute truth immediately, but about reducing uncertainty, narrowing down the possibilities.
Like shrinking the confidence intervals, as he put it.
Right, and he thinks maybe some current issues stem from misunderstanding that core process, that science is iterative, often messy, not just instant answers.
So the question then is, can it stay bipartisan with things like potential NIH budget cuts on the table?
That's the concern, isn't it? Hsu seemed hopeful, though. Hopeful that these public conversations, even the challenging ones, might actually lead to a better understanding and appreciation for why basic research is so vital.
And he's obviously a huge supporter of basic science, and in the NIH specifically. I mean, he came up through NIH-funded labs himself.
Absolutely. It's personal for him, which led to the question of whether the U.S. is still, the #1 place for science globally.
So the million-dollar question then, when do we actually see major breakthroughs coming from AI and science?
Pragmatically optimistic, I'd say. He pointed out that institutions of the NIH have evolved massively over time, often thanks to strong leadership. So yeah, there are challenges, but he believes the U.S. infrastructure is still fundamentally strong, and people are working to keep it that way.
So is ARC Institute changing how it operates because of all this?
Not really, it sounds like. He explained that ARC was kind of founded precisely to explore new ways of organizing research. They're set up to be flexible, working closely with universities, maybe even provide a model for the future, regardless of how traditional funding shifts.
Interesting. Okay, let's pivot again. Gene editing. Hsu is right there at the start with Editas medicine. What drew him into that back then?
Well, it was a pretty unique chance, wasn't it? To take this revolutionary science, CRISPR, straight from the lab and try to turn it into actual medicines.
From bench to bedside, essentially.
Right. And also, just to learn how you even build a biotech company. He mentioned Editas was this unusual beast, backed by 3 top VC firms working together, a crash course in biotech creation.
And it grew incredibly fast, he said. Like 5 people to a public company in a year.
Insane growth, which naturally brings lessons. The interviewer asked him straight up, what went wrong?
How did he answer that?
He sort of reframed it. Less about wrong and more about the fundamental strategic choices any early biotech faces, things they learned at Editas that are still relevant today.
Like what kind of choices?
Okay, so pipeline versus platform. Do you focus on getting one specific drug to market fast or build a broader technology that could lead to many drugs later?
Focus versus optionality.
Exactly. And which disease do you target first? Rare disease with maybe clearer biology or a bigger market? And how do you deliver the therapy? Things like LNPs, lipid nanoparticles, sort of temporary fat bubbles versus AAVs, which are modified viruses.
Delivery is huge in gene therapy, right?
Crucial. Yeah. And who's emphasized these core dilemmas? Pipeline, platform, target choice, delivery, they haven't gone away. New biotechs wrestle with the exact same things now.
So what did he pinpoint as the single hardest thing, the most common challenge for a startup?
He used this great analogy, pointing your cannon in the right direction.
Meaning choosing the right target, the right path.
Precisely. With so many scientific possibilities, picking the one path that actually leads to a successful drug and market success is incredibly difficult. He compared it to hiking in the Black Forest, which he's actually done, apparently.
Okay, so stay on the trail markers.
Yeah, don't get lost in the woods of possibility. You have to make hard choices about where to aim. He then brought up expected value in drug development.
Okay, explain that.
It's basically a way to weigh risk and reward. You multiply the probability of a drug actually working and getting approved by the potential size of the patient population who'd benefit.
Right. So maybe a rare disease drug has a higher chance of working, higher probability, but fewer patients. A common disease drug is maybe riskier science-wise, but a huge potential market.
Exactly. And historically, biotech often focused on rare diseases, partly because of that probability perception. But then Hsu points to the GLP-1 drugs for diabetes, obesity.
Like Ozempic, Wegovy.
Right. the value created by those drugs targeting massive populations just dwarfs, like, almost the entire rest of the biotech industry combined over decades.
Whoa. So has pharma learned that lesson? Are they now aiming bigger, tackling common diseases more aggressively?
He thinks so, yeah. The GLP-1 success has definitely encouraged more ambition towards bigger diseases, but he also added a dose of reality.
Which was?
That honestly, our drug development tools are still pretty primitive compared to other engineering fields. We don't really have the equivalent of CAD software for biology. We lacked truly reliable predictive models for how drugs will behave in humans.
So more ambition, but still grappling with fundamental biological uncertainty.
Seems to be the gist.
Okay, one more area, his angel investing. He started doing this quite early, about 8 years ago.
Yeah. And his first investment, interestingly, was in a friend's YC company that didn't make it.
A common story in early stage investing.
For sure. He understands the power law dynamics. You expect most won't pan out, but hope a few are huge wins. But his motivation wasn't purely financial, it sounded like.
What was it then?
He compared it to mentoring trainees in his lab. He gets real satisfaction from backing super technical founders with really big, ambitious ideas, helping them get the resources team, mission, early cash to take a shot.
So it's about enabling the science and the scientist in a way.
Very much so. And yeah, confirming it's his own personal money. He made the point you don't need like millions to start angel investing. A lot of people start smaller.
Did he mention any specific recent investments?
He mentioned being part of the seed round for EvoScale. That was through a fund he does with Nat Friedman and Daniel Gross.
Gotcha. And looking forward, what areas excite him as an investor now? Beyond AI, I mean.
Well, definitely biomedicine, new therapies, diagnostics, but also neurotechnology, brain interfaces, understanding the brain and robotics. He sees all those as really potent areas for improving lives.
Makes sense. Okay, let's wrap with the lightning round from the interview. Some quick hits. First, an AI biotech startup he finds exciting, but isn't involved with.
Yeah, he first joked he tries to get involved with all the ones he's really excited by.
Sure enough.
But then he landed on Isomorphic Labs, mentioned their heavy funding and big ambitions in AI drug discovery.
Okay. Next, a favorite or recent LLM prompt he's used.
This one was great. He asked an LLM, based on everything you know about me, tell me the top things that I need to improve and why.
Wow, using AI for some serious self-reflection.
Right. Take some guts, probably.
Okay, dream dinner party for advice, 3 guests from history.
His picks were
Let's see.
Alexander the Great, James Bryant Conant, the former Harvard president, and Marie Curie.
That's quite a table. Diverse advice, I imagine.
I'm kidding.
Last one. If he could draft any 3 AI researchers to focus only on biology and curing disease.
He instantly named Noam Chomsky and Alec Radford. Said he'd need a moment for the third, but those 2 were top of mind.
High praise for them. Okay, so let's bring this all together. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive into Patrick Hsu's world?
Well, I think we got a clear sense of his view on AI in biology. Huge potential, yes, but tempered with realism about biology's pace and regulatory hurdles. It's not magic, it's a powerful tool.
And his strong call for more basic science really stands out, especially given the current climate around funding.
Definitely. Plus, those lessons from the Editas days, the tough strategic choices in biotech, still feel really relevant. And you really get a sense of his passion, through his investing too, for just backing smart people tackling hard science problems.
Yeah, you do. And it leaves you feeling pretty excited, despite the caveats. I mean, AI designed cells, potentially soon, new angles on major diseases. It feels like big things are happening.
Which leads us to that final thought for you, listening. Based on Hsu's perspective, what shifts do you think are most crucial now to really push scientific breakthroughs forward? Is it the balance of basic versus applied research? How we integrate AI? How we support and find the best scientific talent? Something to mull over.